Okay, in this video I'm going to run through the features of PyBot. This is version 1.6, it's the latest version. A lot of changes, a lot of updates been made to PyBot since version 1, and I'll just run through them quickly. So basically what you've got here is the main account screen, which I have 25 accounts listed in this one, but you can have as many as you want. This is the output window, which will give you a detailed overview. In the accounts option, as you can see, there's a current action. These ones are currently idle because they're not doing anything, but if they were doing something, it would come up and say it's current action. But if you want a more detailed overview, output will show you what the bots are currently doing and what they have done over time. You've got your settings, proxy file, death by capture, and a help window, which will display help on how to use PyBot. Within the account window itself, you can select multiple accounts, so you can edit them simultaneously. You can select all of them, obviously, or you can select one. There are some features that you can only use when you've selected a single account, and that being edit profile. Now I'll just show you that there. You can actually load up the profile for an account. You can change the upload picture, you can change the email address, the description, the location, gender, stuff like that. It also loads up the pins from the actual profile. As you can see, it's got puppies. We've got 937 pins in this one. List the followers as well. You can delete boards from this section, and you can also add a board to this account if you want. So I could type something in here and create a board. You can change the options, obviously, as I've said before. You can change the image as well if you want, and that can all be done from this account profile window, so you don't actually have to log into Pinterest to edit accounts. You can't actually, if you have multiple accounts selected, you can't. That's the only option you can't use, as you can see here, because you have to edit individually. But what you can do is you can edit commands across multiple accounts. As you can see here, we've got popular pin set, but we could change that to, say, popular follow, and change them. And if we go back into here, you'll see it's changed to popular follow, but the one below it, because it wasn't selected, is still popular repin. So it's a great way to mass edit commands. You can change proxies, you can start. You can also add a new pin. So for instance, say I wanted to select those accounts and just make a new pin on a board, on their to their boards. You could do that, and that would just come up here, and you can put your URL, your board, your image, and your description in. You can also repin. So what you can do is you specify the pin ID, the board, and the description, and it will make a repin of that. So that's a great way that you can actually have multiple accounts repin a single pin. You can create boards across multiple accounts, which is good. So if you, for instance, wanted to create a board called funny puppy images across all of your accounts, you could select them all like that and select create board. Also follow is another mass command that you can do. You can save account IDs to file, and I'll explain that a little bit later. And you can also delete. There's also global commands up here, such as start all, stop all, and change proxies. And if you select any of them, it will affect every account in the list, whether they're selected or not. So what I'll do is I'll just run through the commands that you can set for each bot. So as you see here, we've got it set to popular follow, and basically what that means is it will actually go to Pinterest, it will look under the popular category, and it will randomly select someone to follow from that. Popular comment works the same way, except it will make a comment on a pin from popular. Popular like, it will basically do exactly the same as popular follow, but instead of following the person, it will like a pin. In popular repin, this is actually very good for gaining traffic and followers. What it will do is go to popular, it'll search for one of the pins, and it will repin it. And you can specify a board name. If you leave it blank, it will be randomly selected. You can use a description text, which is spinnable, and it's multi-depth spinnable as well, so you can have spin text inside of spin text, and you can swap out the URL if you want. Now, generally what I do is I don't add a description or a URL. I don't swap out the description, because I find that since it's a popular pin, the description is probably going to match. And if you leave that blank, it will use the original pin's description. Same with URLs. If you don't specify a URL, and it's basically a file with one URL per line, if you don't specify that, it will actually use the original URL. Keyword follow. This is basically like popular follow, except the difference is that you will have a keyword file with a list of keywords in it, and it will go and search Pinterest for that keyword, for instance, puppies, and then it will find a pin in that and follow the person who made it. Keyword comment, the same thing, it's a keyword file. So again, it would, if we're using the example puppies, it would go and do a search for puppies, it would find a pin and make a comment on it. Keyword like, exactly the same, except this time it's liking. And keyword repin, which is exactly the same as popular repin, except it will repin a pin based off a keyword. So for example, again, puppies, it will go do a search for puppies, it will find one of the pins and it will repin it. Again, you can swap out the description and you can swap out the URLs. Accounts repin, that is related to this command here. Now, you don't actually have to use this, I must say, but you can. It does make it helpful if you want to export the account IDs to use with that command. Basically, what it does is it will repin pins from selected accounts. So as you can see here, if I just enable it, as you can see here, you've got use accounts in PyBot. So if that option is selected, what it will actually do is it will use the accounts listed in here, and it will basically search. Randomly select one, and then it will search their pins and it will make a repin of that. So that's a great way of having all your accounts repin each other's stuff. But for instance, say you didn't want to actually have these accounts repinning each other's stuff, you can actually have a file, as you can see here, which is one account per line. So for instance, I could have I could export all these account IDs to a file and then load up a new lot of 25 different accounts and have them repin all these accounts pins. So it's quite useful if you've got accounts that may not be listed in PyBot, but you want to repin their pins. Description is spinnable, and the URLs obviously. Board name, if you leave it blank, it will randomly select one from the account to use. New targeted pin. This is good for if you want to make a pin with a set URL and a set image, because if you're making a new pin in here, what it does is it randomly selects an image and it randomly selects a URL, and then it will make a pin based off of that. But in a case where you actually want to say this URL and this image to make the new pin, then this is where you'd want to do it. Basically, you can specify the board name, and then you'd have the target list file. Now this option here, make only pin once, is a new feature to 1.6, and basically what that means is that if that's unchecked, it will go through the file and it will repin and repin and repin until the command is stopped. It won't actually keep a record of pins that you've made and pins that you haven't. Whereas if this is checked, what it will do is it will go through the file and make one pin from each target, and then once it's completed, one pin for each target, it will stop. So this is a great way of having a smaller list. For instance, if your list is less than, say, 100 pins that you would like to make, you can select this option and it won't continue to repin the same pins over again, because it will go through the list, it will make those 100 pins that you've got in the file, and then it will stop. Of course, if you leave that unchecked, and your pin list is, if your target list is 2,000 to 3,000 pins, you know, that's how I would do it. If it was 2,000 to 3,000, I'd leave it unchecked, because it really doesn't matter. The pin list is quite large, but that is useful if you've got a small list, or you just want to pin something once and never again. Now in the new pin, as I said, the image directory is basically just an image directory full of images. And what it will do is it will search in that directory and it will randomly select one of the images to use. And the description is spinnable, as I said before, and the URLs, it will randomly select one of the URLs and it will take the image and the URL and that description, and it will make a new pin based on that. Board, again, if you leave it blank, it will randomly select one of the boards, but if you specify the board, it will only make pins to that board. Timeout is how often you want the command to run. So in each one of these commands, as you can see, there's a timeout option. So in this case, it will run every 60 seconds, but I could set that to a minimum of 10 or a maximum of whatever I'd want it to be. So for instance, if I wanted to make a new pin every 5 minutes, because this is in seconds, it would be 300 seconds, which equals 5 minutes. And this command will fire every 5 minutes. Now the only thing to note on this, if you're using this option, it will continue to make the pins, but as I said, it will stop after a certain amount of time, whereas every one of these other ones will continue until you manually stop the process by going into either stop all or right-clicking on the account and clicking stop. So that's a general overview of PiBot. At the moment, it's $159, and that includes free updates for life. Thanks for watching.